welcome to the Professional Rule Breaker Podcast. I'm your host, Kathy Walterhouse. So welcome back to the Professional Rule Breaker Show. I am your host, Kathy Walterhouse, and today I want to talk about mindset, because in business and actually in life, mindset is just about everything. It takes up about 90% of everything that we do. So if you want to be successful in business, you really need to have the right mindset, because with the right mindset, it can really shape how you perceive the world and everything that is happening to you or for you. Everybody has curveballs that are thrown at you. I know I've had a whole bunch, especially this year, it seems like, and it's really important to have that mindset. So what I've done is I've grabbed clips from some of my friends, some of my most favorite episodes where we talk about mindsets. Actually, I have to say, every episode at the Professional Rule Breaker is really my favorite episode. But I just wanted to go ahead and put this out there because I think as we enter into the tail end of this year, 2024, it's more important than ever for us all to have a winning mindset so that we can move our life and our business to the next level. Okay, so the very first segment that I want to highlight is from my friend Barbara Vercruysse. And if you want to listen to the entire episode, I have her on more than once. She's in episode 67 and 68. So my friend Barbara, she is a best-selling author, and I loved her book. It's called The Path of Powerful Kindness. And she talks about how to live in love and light and how kindness is so powerful. I really enjoyed speaking with her. I feel like every time I'm with her, it's like I'm in the presence of a saint. So listen in, and I think you're going to really love this clip.
After all those years, my main mission is to bring love and light wherever I am. And I know that takes many forms. So if it's being with you here tonight, I bring love and light. If it's in my work, one of my biggest clients now is BMW. If it's at BMW, I bring love and light. If it's in the kitchen with my family, I bring love and light. Can I do that every second of every day? No.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I was just about ready to ask you. So how do you do that? Because obviously there are times where it's easier to do that. Mm-hmm. And then there's times that you're like, and do you recenter yourself, or how do you do that?
Yes, I like to start the day with your intentions, setting your intentions for the day. And one of my everyday intentions is whatever comes my path today, I will deal with it with grace and ease. Because we don't live in La La Land. I don't live on a pink cloud. I didn't detach myself from society and sit in a monastery. I'm really much into real life. It's a training. Kindness is a choice, because it is you wrapping yourself in the kindness. So it's mostly the gift to yourself. So even if that other person becomes rude or gives a rude comment, I have trained myself to stay in my own loving energy, because I know if I take over the negativity from the other person, it's mostly like lowering my vibration, right? But it's giving my power away. So kindness is powerful because you keep your power in your kindness. You don't give. For me, it's always to maintain my purity and my loving spirit and not let it be dimmed by somebody else's traumas or wounds, because it's only a traumatized, a wounded person, immature person. And I'm not saying this in a judgmental way at all, Because at a certain point, if you train yourself enough, you are so powerful in that kindness that you look beyond the rudeness and you see the pain, you see a suffering human being. Does that mean that I allow disrespect? No, I speak my truth in a powerful way. I'm not the doormat. If they misbehave, if they're not respectful, I can say that in a kind way, but also understand that they are mainly suffering. So it's keeping your power, but being very compassionate. Because we are all, in one way or another, we have been struggling or we are struggling.
So, my next guest is one of my recent guests, Fletcher Ellingson. It's episode 105. And this portion of it I thought was really important because he talks about intentional change and not being the victim of your emotions and how you can deliberately place your focus on what you want to feel. So listen in.
What would I like to have instead of worry and stress? What would I like to have? Instead of fear, would I like to feel courageous? Right? So we begin to identify the ways of being that we want to have. And then the next step is we begin to practice.
Wow. I mean, that right then is like such a thought provoking, I would say. First off, just identifying, are these ways, the things that you do and the emotions that you have on a routine basis, are they serving you?
Right.
And then making a change, almost it's an intentional change, correct?
Correct.
Making an intentional change to practice maybe the emotions that would serve you. So how do you almost draw up those emotions? Because again, I think of some crotchety old person, just a
Yes.
crotchety, angry individual. They
Yeah.
recognize that they're angry.
Yeah.
But for them to break that habit is very difficult. And then they have to figure out, okay, how do I
Yes.
become happy? How do I practice? I mean, how do you actually do that? Especially
Okay.
if you've been stuck in a rut for a while. How do you do that?
Okay. Excellent question. Thank you for asking that. So this is where the psychology and the science kind of come together, because the beautiful thing about emotions is it's mechanical. And what I mean by that is there is an equation for it. A lot of times people say, gosh, I'm in a bad mood today. Oh, why? Oh, I don't know. I'm just in a bad mood. Oh, well, is there something we can do about it? No, it'll pass. Right. So it's kind of like we feel like we are uh, the victim of our emotions, like they just come and go without our permission,
Like you have no
consent, or
control over
approval.
it.
Right, right. But what I want you to consider is that the emotion that you were feeling, your brain created that emotion in, in alignment with what you're focused on. Now, this is super exciting to me because the how, your question was like basically, how do we begin to interrupt this program and how do we start feeling better? The how is really simple. What you focus on, you feel. We've heard this statement lots of times, but what it actually means is where you place your focus, your brain sees, okay, this is what we're focused on. We're focused on a problem that seems overwhelming. Oh, or Fletcher's scared, or he perceives this thing as a threat. Oh, so we have to kick in the chemicals that are going to create an emotion that is in alignment with the story that he's telling himself. So if it's a fearful based story, the body says we have to generate a fear-based emotion. So the chemicals start pumping out the adrenaline and the cortisol, right? And suddenly I'm feeling fearful. So imagine if you go to a movie, for instance, and you're in that movie, say for 2 hours, you might be laughing your butt off. You might be crying hard in some places. You might be startled and fearful in others. And then you can be experiencing a roller coaster ride of emotions in that 2 hours. In fact, you might experience a greater variety of emotions in that 2 hours than you do all week long. And then you get present to the fact that, hold on a second, I just had all those emotions and all I was doing was watching light on a screen. It was not even real. right? So, I mean, I don't know about you, but there have been a few movies that I've seen in the movie theater where I was literally sobbing. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, I probably should leave because I'm kind of making a scene here, right?
Yeah.
Les Mis was one of them. I just remember that I had to stay after everybody left and just get my cry out. It was like I was just like so affected by
Yeah,
it.
pull yourself together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, right? But but when you think about it, I was watching a movie. It's not real. It's just light on a screen. If you looked at the blooper reel, there were people acting up, cutting up, missing their lines, laughing. But the brain can't tell the difference between what's real and what's not real. It simply generates an emotional reaction based on where you place your focus. So to come back to answer your question, how do we begin to do this? We begin to do it by deliberately placing our focus on things that are going to elicit a feel-good chemical reaction in the brain.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the simple answer. Now, you still have to practice that, but that is essentially what we're learning to do.
Hey, so I just want to mention our sponsor because if you are interested in supporting American jobs and American family, well, I have a treat for you because today's sponsor is an American manufacturer of products that you use every single day. So if you're interested, go to switchaway.com/rule breaker. My next segment, we kind of reached back into the archives. And it is with my friend Nancy Levin. She's the founder of the Levin Life Coach Academy. She's a best-selling author. And she, in this episode, talks about the importance of setting boundaries and the importance of upholding your own boundaries and how boundaries can really lead to empowerment and transforming your life, your mindset, and how you reach your goals.
If we're working for ourselves, we think we need to be on and available 24/7. We think we need to overgive and overdeliver. And we do so at a great cost and a great expense of our own peace of mind. So I always like to begin with saying that my boundaries are between me and me, even if they involve someone else.
Interesting. Okay.
So we often hear the phrase, so-and-so crossed my boundaries. This is not true. If my boundaries are crossed, I am the one crossing them. My boundaries are mine to set and mine to hold. It's not up to anyone else to uphold, respect, or honor my boundaries in any way. So what this does is it moves us out of blame and victimhood and puts us into responsibility and empowerment so that I know that I am setting the boundaries for myself and I am holding them and I am taking care of myself. So even in an entrepreneurial setting, we can say that we are working, let's just make it up. I work Monday to Thursday, 10 to 4.
Okay.
And I don't respond to emails over the weekend, the long weekend. If I say this and then I go ahead and answer the phone on a Friday, I've crossed my own boundary. However, most of us will be in the mindset of, I can't believe that client called on a Friday when I've already told them I'm not available.
Mm-hmm.
You see? So it really comes down to how am I willing to show up for myself and stand by what's true for me?
Okay. And is that how you set your boundaries then? Is by really kind of looking at yourself and figuring out?
That's exactly what it is. So looking at what do I need? What is okay and not okay? I don't have to verbalize my boundary to anybody else. And if I choose to, I need to be really careful about the language I use. So many people will set a boundary with, don't call me on Fridays, or I need you to do this or to do that. A boundary is not about anyone else doing anything different. A boundary isn't about anyone else behaving any differently. So if I verbalize the boundary, I'm letting you know ahead of time. And in an arrangement with a client, you want to have a contract written, but I'm letting you know ahead of time. So it's really important to name the boundary if you choose to verbalize it from I, as opposed to pointing a finger at someone else.
Wow, that's actually really interesting. Okay. So I see how that takes. So when you say I, whatever that boundary is, you can't really blame anybody anymore.
That's right.
And because the whole, exactly what you said, the victimhood and all that,
Yeah.
when a boundary gets crossed, that it goes away.
Right. Right. Because if the boundary is crossed, it means I crossed it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no one to blame.
Wow.
No one else to blame. And that really is a game changer. It shifts everything.
Mm-hmm. So my next segment comes from Mr. Level Up himself, Scott L. Ferguson. It's episode 80. And he really talks about leveling up. And what that really means is being 1% better each day than you were the day before. And what I love in this segment, he also talks about energy vampires. I know we've all been exposed to those energy vampires and what to do to avoid them and make sure that you're not letting the energy vampires suck the life out of you.
What level up really means to me is just being 1 step better or 1% better than the person the day before.
Okay. I love that. How did you come up with that though? Really? Like this whole concept? Because I know you use it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's almost like I wouldn't say it's your brand, but it's your
No, it's
thing.
not my brand. No, yeah. I just bought into it so hard at a young age that, and I make 2 New Year's resolutions every day. Or I'm sorry, every year since 2009.
I was like, wow, that's amazing. Every day.
Right? Every year. 4 that I do every day. And it's 1, make someone smile every single day. And 2, unless I've hurt you, disrespected you, owe you, or judged you, I don't care what you think about me. Okay, so by doing that, it allowed me to level up consistently. As long as I'm coming from a place of service where I'm serving, that I just really bought into that. I was saying level up before people were really saying it. So it's not my brand or anything, but I just do say it. I'll say it and they'll be like, oh, Fergie, level up. And again, you say that I haven't hurt you, disrespect you, owe you, or judged you. I don't care. I'm still going to say it to you because that's what I want you to do. Right? On a constant. And you and I believe our vibe attracts our tribe. So we surround ourselves with people that level up on a consistent basis. I mean, you and I will text back and forth just funny stuff that's leveling us up, right?
Yep.
And that's the people that you want in your life.
Right. Because if you get fed that every day.
Yes. It compounds, like Bouchard will say, right? I mean, it just does. It's impossible for it not to compound.
Yeah.
So
because otherwise it goes the other direction, right? There's that one saying that you are the sum total of the 5 people that you hang out with.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
100%. When I first heard that, I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. But the more as I've gotten older, I've realized, yes, absolutely. So if you spend your time around people that just drag you down.
Yeah.
Or the people that just sap your energy. I did that yesterday. I was with someone for about an hour that's exactly what happened. And eventually we were able to turn it around, but boy, oh boy, like if you were to spend all day with people that sap your energy.
Yeah. I don't allow that energy vampires to creep in on me. I mean, am I guilty of it? Yeah. But I also have a fantastic fiance that is always cheerful. I have a rescue pit bull they consistently remind me with that. And just to have the squad that I surround myself with here in South Florida. And we're on the Eastern Seaboard, so I'm from the Midwest like yourself. So my squad down here is a lot different with regards to New York, Boston, Philly. And those guys are leveling up all the time with that edge. So,
with an edge.
Yes. Yeah. And it's funny with that because my day job has been a real estate broker for 27 years, right? And when I first moved to Florida, I would go up and hug them. And they'd be like, get the hell away from me. What are you doing? Midwest, when I meet you in in person, I'll hug you. You'll hug back and be like, "Oh, cool." It's no big deal. It's expected. And so I did a deep dive. I would like almost cry. I'm like, why don't these people like me? But they live on top of each other there, right? They're so close in proximity that they just want their distance. Once I respected that, leveled up and respected that, then now some of my best friends are from Brooklyn and Boston and Philly and whatnot. So it's leveling up is a consistent, it's like kind of like Kaizen. It's consistent progression on a daily. It's what it is.
And my very last segment is from my friend Suzanne Sibilla. And she's a life and a business strategist. And she is the host of the show called Pivot Now. And this comes from episode 88. And she talks about if you do the small steps, how they can get you to big places, as well as how important it is to pivot now, not to wait, but to pivot now and get started in the direction that you want to go. What do you say to those people that are like, oh, I hate change, but they know where they are right now is not where they want to be? Are there some simple steps that they can take?
I think the first step is awareness, right? Because you can't change what you're not aware of. So that's, again, the first critical step is to be aware of where you're at and then look at what it is you want to go. Where do you want to go? So that is what we call creating that vision of where you want to go. So looking at where you're at, where you want to go or where you want to be, who you want to become, and then where's the gap, right? And that's where, again, where I would coach my clients is in that gap phase is how you can go from where you are at to where you want to be. And doing small incremental steps. It's the small steps that get you to the big places, right? Because a lot of times people think, oh, for example, let's say if they want to lose weight, let's say they're 20 pounds overweight and they're saying, well, I really want to lose weight and I don't know what to do, right? So many times I see this with a lot of clients where they're like, okay, I'll reduce my sugar intake. I'll reduce carbs. I'll really eat healthy. I'll go and exercise. And they do all of these things all at once. So it may be good for the first 2 weeks. They may be doing really well. But then the third week, fourth week, month goes by and they're like,
hard.
Right? And then it just becomes, they forget it all. And they're like, oh, forget this. This is too difficult, right? So I always say to clients is like, start small with one step that you can do on a consistent basis. That's how we change a habit, right? We change it by doing one step. So for example, maybe it's getting a glass of water in the morning, drinking a glass of water. And that seems kind of like, well, it's a simple thing, right? But actually drinking a glass of water in the morning, we become dehydrated in the morning. So it hydrates us in the morning to have a glass of water. Simple step, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Or it could be like having breakfast. Maybe you don't eat breakfast in the day, and that is an important meal. So maybe eating breakfast during the day. Again, one step that you take to push you forward to make that change.
I love that you talk about like one step and just even just thinking about weight loss, because when people want to lose weight, they're like, okay, I want to lose 30 pounds, whatever the number is. And then if it doesn't happen within those 2 weeks or it's slow going, then they get disillusioned. But if you can do those simple one steps and then maybe celebrate. I mean, I'm all about celebrating, right?
Yes, celebrate.
So celebrate the small stuff because
got to do the wins. I always do my celebration.
I need some of those. Oh my gosh, the last time we talked, you had those and you were using those. I was like, oh, I need to get some of those. But yeah, celebrate the wins. But then also, I think with your step 2 about the vision, creating that vision, don't you think is also about the small steps to get to the vision?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's a small, again, the small steps, the small goals, if you will, that we have to get to that vision. It's not the bigger things, right? It's really taking the small actions every day on a daily basis to get you to where you want to go. Again, a lot of times people think I have to take all these big actions. it's really taking small actions and building the momentum. That's a key word, momentum, right? Because you start building the momentum and it's, wow, you start realizing, wow, I'm adding like breakfast and it's going well and I'm getting energized. I'm adding a glass of water during my day and you get energized, right? And then the more you go, it's okay. Then after 4 weeks, now I can start adding, let's say, exercise to my, or physical activity. I like to call it physical activity instead of exercise, because people, they hear exercise and they're like, I hate exercise.
Like, oh no, I gotta go run 10 miles.
Right. So add physical activity. It could be gardening. It could be walking around the block. Something simple, right? That adds to your day. And then you start to see, wow, I'm losing weight. Maybe it's a pound. Maybe it's a half a pound. Celebrate that success.
Absolutely.
Right?
So I hope you've really enjoyed our segments about mindset, because it can really make a big difference in your life, in your business. If you just take that moment to check in with yourself, and it will really make a big difference. And it's all about being aware of your thoughts, your feelings, and being able to make better choices so that you can have the life that you want, the business that you want, because you can do anything that you set your mind to. And if you have the right mindset every single day, and let's just say you had a moment where you slipped, well, that's okay, because you can always turn it around in literally a snap of a finger. So again, I hope you enjoyed the segments that we picked. They're all my favorites. Actually, everybody's my favorite. And I hope that this will make a difference in your day and in your life. Because remember, there's only one of you. You're an original, and you can make a difference in the world by what it is that you know and that you put out there, and the value that you are putting out there to help make a big difference in the world. So, my friends, it's like throwing a rock into a stream. Make that difference, that ripple effect, like only you can, and go out there and be fierce. And of course, break some rules.